I'm going to do something I don't usually do, and that is this. I have written the talk for this morning, just like I write a talk every week. And last night, I decided that's not the talk that I wanted to give, that I really wanted to talk more freely this morning about vulnerability and the power of vulnerability. My talk title is the Power and the Glory. And so here's what I know that is true, I think, for anyone who's in this room. What I know is that you are seeking your personal power, and you are seeking the glory of life. Whether that glory is, you will determine what the glory for life is for yourself, whether that is the right relationship or the right career or the right health or the right financial situation or whatever in life it is that you find to be glorious. That is what you are seeking. You are seeking the ability, the power to create that for yourself. In spirituality, the science of mind teaches us that we have within us the creative power to interact with the universe around us in an energetic way and make things happen and co-create our lives. That's why we're here. Can I get an amen? That's why we're here. I know you don't come out on a Sunday morning just for Derek's music or Randy's announcements, although I'm sure that those are reasons to come. You're coming to learn more about yourself and your relationship with the thing that I call God. You can call it whatever you want to call it, but it is the power that we work with. And so what I want to say is that the pathway to power and glory is through the door of vulnerability. Not a pretty thing to say, but it is the truth. And what I want to talk about is, what does life look like on this side of that door, and what does life look like after you walk through that door? What is possible on the other side of that door? So on this side of the door, so what we talk about in the science of mind is that what we think about and what we talk about is what we bring about, is what our life is vibrating at, that level, that energy. So what we're talking and thinking about on this side of the door of vulnerability sounds very different than what we are talking and thinking about on the other side of the door of vulnerability. On this side of the door of vulnerability, on the side where we haven't walked through it, we won't walk through it, our conversations and our relationships and the people that we gather around us are listening to us as we are disempowered, as we become defensive. We're very defensive about what our choices have been or whatever. We keep superficial conversations on this side of the door. Let's just talk about the weather. Let's just talk about anything going on out here. We're going to stay superficial. On this side of the wall, there's a lot of complaining going on, right? Complaining about, blaming everything that's going on in our lives was about something outside of ourselves, all right? Something happened to me, something is occurring beyond my power. I don't have power in my life. A lot of complaining. Also, gossiping happens on this side of the door of vulnerability. I would rather talk about anybody else. I would rather talk about their life, their problems, their solutions, my ideas about what's going on with them, than ever to look at myself in vulnerability. So that's on this side of that wall as well. Another thing on this side of the wall is commiserating. Okay, so misery loves company. So if I am not happy in my life, then I can find other people and I gather myself around people that will listen and help me feel what the woe is me kind of a conversation, right? That's on this side of the wall. There's no healing, there's no growth, there's very little learning going on this side of the door. Remember the 3 blind mice? They're all on this side of the door. We're blind to the blessing in life. We can't see the blessing in anything. Everything is just a problem. We're blind to possibilities. We can't see how we can change anything, what could be different. We're blind to that. And we're also blind to our own personal power. That's all on this side of that door. Can you relate to being on this side of the door, right? And maybe you're not completely on this side of the door. You're only on this side of the door about one particular part of your life, right? Maybe you're actually vulnerable about lots and lots of things and are honest about lots and lots of things, but there are probably some things that are still on this side of that door. So through that door of vulnerability, when we walk through that door, it's when we've decided, I'm willing to tell the truth about my life. I'm willing to be vulnerable. I'm willing to talk about what's going on, and I'm willing to get help. I'm willing to get help. I need help. I want to learn. I want to grow. I want to change something about my life, or quite frankly, my whole life. It is through that door that power, blessings, and possibilities are found. So when we were in Sacred Cup this morning, we were talking about that. We were talking about, we used a non-emotional example that I'll share in the big room this morning. And that is, let's say I want to learn something new. My Sacred Cup people are grinning. I want to learn something new, and so I said, I want to learn to play the guitar. I really don't want to learn to play the guitar. But let's say I did, or let's say you do. You want to learn to play the guitar. On this side of the door of vulnerability, you're sitting around your house. Maybe you have a guitar, like I have a guitar, but I don't know how to play it. You have a guitar that you're like, I don't know how to play it. Only talented people play the guitar. I never learned anything. My daddy never let me play music. I don't know anything about guitar, and I'm watching people on TV playing guitar, and I'm like just jealous and whatever, right? And I find other people to say, yeah, music is too hard. I'm not going to learn to play the guitar. So that's on this side of the door. But when you make up your mind that you really do want to play the guitar, what do? You walk through a door somewhere. And I said this morning, you walk into the guitar store and you say, you have to be vulnerable. It takes a lot of vulnerability to say, I don't know anything about guitars, but I would love to learn how to play guitar. I don't even know how to buy one. I don't even know what the parts of the guitar are called. I don't know a good guitar, a bad guitar. I just have to admit, I know nothing, right? And when you walk into that guitar store, someone there, they're not going to laugh at you. They're not going to be, shaming you. They're going to say, let me help you. Let me help you, right? And they help you find the guitar. And then you have to be vulnerable to another person. And I said, I'll use Keith this time because Susan's back there. So I don't know if Keith knows how to play the guitar, but I'm not just going to walk up to Keith and go, hey, Keith, will you teach me how to play the guitar? No, he can't, right? So I have to find the right person to be vulnerable with. I have to find the right person to share my vulnerability with and to say, I want to learn, I want to grow, I want to heal, right? And when I find that right person, they're more than happy to meet me in that space and give me information that I don't have, right? And then through that door, then I meet my guitar teacher. I might take a class. I might have other people around that are learning also the same thing I'm learning. And then through that door becomes opportunities to play. And it can get bigger and bigger and bigger. And if you dedicate your entire life to growing or healing or learning something, you can walk into big spaces. But what happened? You had to go through the door of vulnerability in order for that to happen. So I used that example in Sacred Cup this morning of a guitar lesson. But let's use another example. Let's say there's something about your body that's wounded. Let's say you were in an accident and your arm was broken in the accident. But because it takes a lot of vulnerability and you don't want to show that wound to anybody else, you go home. You just go home and you hold your arm and you take care of your arm. And you know what? It might heal. It might heal on its own. But what are the chances that it's going to heal well? It might not heal very well. You might not have full functionality of that arm again. But it takes vulnerability to go into the hospital, to go somewhere to a doctor and say, I hurt my arm. I hurt my arm and I need help. I don't know how to fix it. I've sat in my room and I wrapped it up with socks. I did everything I knew how to do. It's still not working. It's still not healed. Can you help me? Can you help me? And what happens when you go in that ER? When you go in there, you get help, but you've gone to the right place, right? You don't go to the dentist and say, I broke my arm. You go to the ER, you go to somebody who can help you. And it goes the same with anything you want to change in your life, anything you want to heal in your life, anything you want to break through. You have to go through the door of vulnerability. And so a lot of us, myself included, had a lot of religious wounding when we were young. I was religiously wounded, spiritually wounded in my youth. And I went in my room and I hid away from that. And I said, I don't want to deal with God. I don't want anything to do with religion of any kind. Don't even say the word God. It was a joke in my house. It was, it was not anything to do with me for a very, very long time, until I decided to walk through a door of vulnerability and say, there must be something I don't know. All of these people are so happy. I walked into a spiritual center in Seattle. I'm like, how are these people so happy being around this God stuff and this spiritual stuff and these lessons and all of this information? What is there for me? What? I don't know. And I had to go to the minister. I had to go to the practitioner. I had to go to other people in the center and say, help me. I don't know what you're talking about. This God you talk about of joy and love and peace and non-judgment and acceptance and all of that, I know nothing about that. I know nothing about that. Help me. Help me. Teach me. And it is through that door that I found blessings and power and possibilities, through that door. And so I'm love that you're here this morning and you're saying, teach me, help me know, help me learn more and more. Because when we walk through that door, we're doing things from a vulnerable place. This week in preparing for my talk that I was going to give, I looked up actual practices of vulnerability that I could share with you, like real things that you can do to practice vulnerability. And so I'll share some of those, although I don't have my notes in front of me very well. I do have a couple of them. One of them is to openly share. Crack open that space of sharing first. Open up first. In Sacred Cup, I love it when the first person, I would do the reading and how does that sit with you? That first person will speak up and say, this is what it means for me. I love that step because they're stepping into that vulnerability. So one of them is to practice opening up and sharing. Another practice of vulnerability is to share real emotions. How many of you know people, I know people who don't want to go anywhere near anything that's going to cause big emotions to happen. They step away from that. They don't want to see certain movies. They don't go to funerals of people they love. They really just avoid emotional situations. And emotions are gateways of vulnerability. So being willing to share your emotions in a real way is important. Another way of showing vulnerability is to ask for help. Think of something in your life right now that would be easier if you had help. Think of something in your life that if someone were to help you with it, it might be transformed or transcended. Ask for help. Think about the last time someone asked you for help. And it might have been inconvenient or whatever, but you were honored that they asked you, that they felt safe enough to ask you for help. Ask for help. Because when we open ourselves up in vulnerability, new ideas come to us. Spirit meets us when we walk through that door. The power of the universe meets us when we open up and share and ask for help, ask for information. And when we have people around us, like the guitar teacher, like the doctor helping heal our wound, or like a practitioner, we can try new things because we have support. We have people around us, like in this community, that are witnessing us stepping into and trying new things. That's power. That's the support that we're looking for. I invite you to seek friendships, seek relationships that support whatever it is that you want to learn, or whatever you want to grow, whatever you want to heal, seek those relationships that meet you in that place. For myself, right this minute, I am seeking connections, friendships that support me on the healing path I have with parenting, right? So not only am I in a growth and transformational stage with my own daughter as a parent, I'm also on that path with my parent, with my mother. And so I am purposefully seeking out conversations and people that can witness me in that don't commiserate with me, but ask me questions that stretch my own understanding of the situation that I'm in, the perspective that I'm holding so tightly. Maybe there's someone that can help me shift that. And one of those people happens to be Susan Clark, who's not here today. She's not feeling well. But she's a person that helps me with my perspective with my mother, right? Mm-hmm. But she's also someone that helps me with the perspective with my daughter. So she's a valuable person on my path of vulnerability. And I know I'm not the only one who has Susan in their back pocket, because she's an awesome, awesome person to be vulnerable with. But seek those people. I found myself a few years ago very frustrated in the circle of friends that I had because they could not sit with me in the vulnerable places where I was growing. And I don't know about you, but sometimes when people come into this new way of thinking about life, they outgrow friends because friends aren't in that same path of wanting to heal and grow and change. So for me, the power is in seeking those connections that are important. And one of the things that I would invite you also to do is ask Spirit to guide you. When you drop into prayer, ask God to lead you to the right people, the right guitar teacher, the right hospital, the right friendship, the right connection to heal and grow whatever it is in your life that you're wanting to heal and grow. Because what happens is we change our world, we change our lives, one conversation at a time, one relationship at a time, one spoken truth at a time. Because once you've broken through and spoken what you want, what you need, where you're healing, where you're growing, once you've spoken it, it has power. Our words are creative. So invite those people around you that can do that work with you and change your life one conversation at a time. And I will remind you that you're not just doing it for yourself. You're doing it for your realm of influence around you, and then beyond that, the wider world. Because don't forget, we're in a web. We're in a web of relationships, not just with the people we know, but the people they know and the people they know. And when we heal that web in greater and greater degrees beyond ourselves. That is the path. That is the path. Through the door of vulnerability, we pass from powerlessness, blindness, lack of possibility, limitation, fear. That's where we are. And when we're outside the door, we're in fear. And on this side, we're in love. We're in connection. We're in community. We're in spirit. We're in possibility. That's the truth. And I didn't want to do my quotes and all that stuff this morning, but one quote I really wanted to share from the great spiritual teacher, Amy Poehler. She said this. She said, "It's very hard to put yourself out there. It's very hard to be vulnerable. But those people who do that are the dreamers, the thinkers, and the creators. They are the magic people of the world." Amy Poehler. And if you can't take truth from Amy Poehler, who can take truth from? Will you join me in prayer? Thank you, God, for this clarity this morning, this point of power in my own life and in the lives of this community. Thank you for meeting this moment. for opening my heart in love and vulnerability, and knowing that there is a path. There is a path to freedom. There is a path to greater love. There is a path to wholeness. And it is through that door of oneness, of understanding that everything is spirit interacting with itself. And when I can suspend my own ego, I can step into the power of spirit itself. And I know that's my truth. And I know that's the truth of each person sitting here, each person listening to this lesson. And I'm thankful for this community. I'm thankful for this place where we sit on the other side of the door of vulnerability. We sit here with people who honor and cherish our hearts, our stories, our experiences. And in this moment of prayer, I also hold our beloved Barley and her entire family. And know for Dennis a journey into the next great expansion of his existence, knowing that it is full of love and possibility for him as well. Thank you, God, for this wisdom. And so it is.
And so it is.